The efforts to keep our lake healthy have been ongoing since the water crisis, even before that. This afternoon, we have Sandy Bihn, the Lake Erie Waterkeepers, with us. Sandy, welcome again. We talk on the phone on a regular basis. It seems like you're always trying to flag things that are going wrong. And activists like yourself and Mike Ferner with the Lake Erie Advocates, you people, you need to keep doing that. It's nice you're getting it out there, getting the attention. But there are, of course, two sides of every story, and we like to go into that a little bit. First of all, your organization, the Waterkeepers and the Lake Erie Advocates, same people, different organizations, different goals?
Different organization, probably same goals. I mean, we're connected with the International Waterkeeper Alliance. We're licensed by them when there's 300 international waterkeeper groups. So we're about, fishable, swimmable, drinkable water, and more about maybe solving, the guts of solving the problem than just talking, just a little different approach to it, I guess. I mean, everyone that cares about Lake Erie and anything they're doing is appreciated, no matter what organization or how it's being done. So we are after the source and trying to get rid of the problem. Today we had the algae forecast, Ohio State at Gibraltar Island. It's 13 years they've been doing that, and 10 years after the Toledo water crisis. And one of the researchers said there's no gain. There's no gain on it at all. And maybe it's even a little worse. And we've spent billions of dollars. And I kind of compare that to, kind of getting cancer. So if you're going to take the maintenance drug before you get the treatment, you're never going to get rid of the problem. And not one person today talked about there's a 40% reduction science says we need in phosphorus that's going to reduce the blooms and get us back to where the lake is pretty healthy. And we're not doing this every year, right?
Well, let me ask you this. No one knows some people believe they know the answer. Charter boat fishermen tell us the lake is in really good health. The water's never been cleaner. The fish population is just blowing up. Is it possible climate change has something to do with the water temperature and the effects the water temperature have on creating the algae from the nutrients coming in there? Yes, but is it possible it's made worse not by farmers necessarily, but by the higher temperatures we have?
No.
And the heavier rains we're getting too in the springtime.
Yeah, climate certainly plays a role in how much runs off the fields and comes into it, but I think we're all in agreement, all science, all advocates and everybody are in agreement that about 90% of this is caused by commercial fertilizer and manure, and the rest is caused by wastewater plants, et cetera. But no, it's really the runoff from the land. And if we were to stop the sources, we didn't put the algae in the spring of this year, we wouldn't have a bloom. We'd have very little bloom. So just like back in the day when the lake was green in the 50s and 60s, we took phosphorus out of laundry detergent and reduced it at the wastewater plants. And wow, the lake really recovered to the point where it's at today. Western Lake Erie is quite unique. It doesn't stay, the waters move every 30 to 50 days. It's constantly turning over because the Detroit River water, thank God, from the upper lakes, that great water comes down. And that's the clean water we get that flushes the lake, that helps it so much.
Want to make sure we do not damn the agricultural industry as a whole. A lot of people care about the lake just as much as you do and take great pains. I know that they have to satisfy EPA regulations, and every time they put fertilizer on, keep track of everything. They can't put fertilizer on the fields if there's any rain in the forecast. We've got to talk quickly about CAFOs, the concentrated animal feeding operations, these large-scale cattle, hog, chicken farms. Is that probably the real issue here?
I think that was the change that happened that started this whole mess in the 90s and early 2000s, is when they started coming in and increasing year after year. But the first year, we live on the bay next to Maumee Bay State Park, and we saw it. And I didn't realize that when they came, it would have been a cause of the algae. But looking back at the figures and the statistics, it's clear that we went from no CAFOs, literally, or very few in the 90s, to now 1.8 million hogs, 24 million chickens, 400,000 dairy. And because they're confined, hog and dairy manure is liquid. So we put that down in fields that are tiled and ditched, and this is the old black swamp. So, it's kind of, it's very obvious that that huge increase had an impact on this. And you're right, the farmers have been great. Many of them, especially the commercial fertilizer people, have reduced. There's one report that says in the last 5 years, about a third less phosphorus than they used to buy. Well, that's terrific. But the report also says at the same time the CAFOs went up and the manure went up. So whatever we gained on one end, we lost on the other, simply because we keep increasing the amount of manure and we're not getting ahead of the game.
We're out of time, but we have to remember that also the world needs food, and the food supplies provided by these farmers is busting their tail to try to put food on our table. And there's, you know, it's going to be a balancing act, and I know, but people like yourselves keep the foot on the gas.
But there's the cattle. I didn't mention Schmucker and JBS, but there's this huge influx in the last 2 years of up to 76,000 cattle coming in with no permits, no regulations. That's crazy.
Pete Gerken told me there are regulations, but the EPA is not enforcing them, and that may be part of the problem there. Sandy, we are out of time. We could go all day with this, but thank you so much for coming in here.
Thank you for having me.
Weather's